Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we're going to look at Sakuyamon X-Antibody. We still don't have BT19 support for this deck until Special Booster 2.5, but we will be looking at how you can play the deck without it. We're going to go very aggressive and look to get an easy 5 checks in, and then as long as you have an extra chip damage, you can end the game pretty quickly. So, starting with our eggs, we have 4 copies of EX2 Viximon. This is still the best draw egg for this deck. When you use an option card with cost 2 or more, draw 1. For our level 4s, we have 4 copies of BT17 Renamon on play reveal top 3. Add a Digimon with Kyubimon, Taomon, or Sakuyamon in its name, and a Rika or an option with cost 2 or more to the hand. The rest go bottom, and then when you use an option with cost 2 or more, until the end of the opponent's turn, they get Sec -1 on one of their Digimon. So great defensive tool, great searcher, kind of just the best rookie in the deck to just hard play. We have 2 copies of EX2 Renamon on play reveal top 4. You get a Kyubimon, Taomon, or Sakuyamon, and a Rika. The rest go bottom. And then this will gain you memory when you use an option, which is why I'm opting for this as my 2 of in the deck. And then we have 4 copies of the Renamon X-Antibody from EX-08 on play when Digivolving. Return an option with plugin in its name from your trash to the hand. So it's going to recur your options and make sure you have more gas in your hand to do Sakuyamon things with. And it's going to dole out -2k when you use an option with cost 2 or more. For our level 4s, we're going to start with 3 copies of BT17 Kyubimon. When Digivolving, if you don't have Rika, you can play a Rika from your hand without paying the cost, so a great way to get our tamers down. And then your turn, once per turn, when you use an option card with cost 2 or more, one of your opponent's Digimon gets security attack -1 until the end of their turn. So again, with that defensive inheritable, that does a lot of work in this deck. We have 4 copies of BT18 Wizardmon. When Digivolving, by trashing your top security, draw 1, gain 1. You are probably never going to do that unless you're really, really desperate. What we care more about is this inheritable that says when this yellow Digimon with the data trait would leave the battle area by your opponent's effects, by trashing your top security, it doesn't leave. So it's a good way to put protection on your Sakuyamon and make sure that it is kind of really, really, really difficult to remove. Somebody brought this up in the comments on my other Sakuyamon video. This is a great level 4 for this deck and probably the main level 4 you want to be seeing if you're building your main stack. Then we have 2 copies of the EX2 Kyubimon. When Digivolving, reveal top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 option with plugin in its name among them to the hand. Place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order, and this will also dole out -2k when you use an option with cost 2 or more. Just a great way to find your plugins if you are still looking for one. Moving on to level 5s, we have 4 copies of the BT17 Taomon. It has barrier, and when Digivolving, you use an option card that has plugin in its name or is yellow from the hand with the cost reduced by 2. And then when attacking, if you are Sakuyamon, you can do the same thing, use an option card or plugin with the cost reduced by 2. We have 3 copies of EX2 Taomon. When Digivolving, you play a Rika from your hand without paying the cost. The nice thing about this is it does not care about how many Rikas you have in play, so this is just a free Rika every time. This will also dole out -2k as it's inheritable, which is also really nice. Helps remove chumps from the board pretty effectively. For our level 6s, we are on 2 copies of Sakuyamon Maid Mode from BT10. When Digivolving, you may use an option card with plugin or in its name that's yellow or has a cost of 5 or less from your hand without meeting its color requirements or paying its cost. Then the card you use gets placed face down on the top of your security stack instead of going to the trash. So it's kind of lets you use an option and then recover 1, which is kind of nice. When attacking, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Sakuyamon in your hand for a cost of 1, ignoring its Digivolution requirements. So this is just a fantastic bridge. What I like to do with this card is to use the offensive plugin. You get Sec +1. You swing in to Evo into the Sakuyamon, and then you do other Sakuyamon things. Once you Evo, use more plugins and stuff like that. Speaking of Sakuyamon, we have 3 copies of BT17 Sakuyamon. This costs 1 to go on a Maid mode. It has barrier, and when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -6k for the turn. Then from your hand, and without playing the cost, you may play 1 5-cost or lower option card that has plugin in its name or is yellow, so you get to use a free option when you Digivolve. And then your turn, once per turn, when you use an option card with a cost of 2 or more until the end of your opponent's turn, their effects can't return this Digimon to hand or deck. The really nice thing about this is if you have Wizardmon, this has battle protection with the barrier. This can't be returned to hand or deck because of its own your turn once per turn effect. And with the Wizardmon, it is also protected from card effects. So this is just an incredibly difficult and sticky Digimon to remove on your opponent's end. We then have 3 copies of the new Sakuyamon X-Antibody. This costs 1 to go on top of a Sakuyamon without X-Antibody, or 4 on a level 5. When Digivolving, if Sakuyamon or X-Antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution card, you play, I'm not going to attempt that, a token with 9k DP and Rush. And when one of your Digimon attacks, you can use a single color option card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand without paying the cost if this effect used one of your Digimon unsuspend. So, what's really cool about this is now with the offensive plugin, we have some unsuspend methods to actually swing in a bunch of aggressive checks with this Digimon. So we can basically get Sec +1 on this main mode by using its when Digivolving effect, get security +1, swing, go into the Sakuyamon, use another plugin. We can actually use the Digivolution plugin S here to bridge into the Sakuyamon X, so you get 2 checks and you play the token. You swing the token, you use another plugin. You could even just use another offensive plugin here on top of your Sakuyamon, but there are other ones that we can look at. Your Sakuyamon will then unsuspend, and you can swing 2 more checks with the Sakuyamon, and you've just hit your opponent for 5 checks, possibly 6 if you use another offensive plugin, and you just really need the 1 more chip damage to win the game. So that is a really fantastic combo, and really, really aggressive combo. Moving on to our plugins, we have 2 copies of EX2 Plug-in S main. Draw 1, then you may Digivolve into a Digimon in the hand with a cost reduced by 3. Well, not cost reduced by 3. You can evo into something whose cost is 3 or less without paying the cost. So if it costs 4 or more, you can't do it. Security, reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add a Digimon among them to your hand. The rest go bottom deck in any order, then add this to the hand. Great effect for finding your pieces. Also, just being able to evo for cheap is really great. 2 copies of Offensive Plugin A. This is how we're going to be getting our 5 checks in one go. Well, you have a tamer, you can use all the plugins without meeting their color requirements. I did not mention that for Plugin S, but it is important to remember. And this just gives Sec +1 as its main effect. Security effect is reveal top 3 and add a tamer to your hand. The rest go bottom, then this card goes to hand. We are going to be running 2 copies of Proto form. It's just, you can run X-Antibody. It still works fine. I like this because, for the most part, if you've swung in with your Sakuyamon, you're going to want to get into the Sakuya X for 0, and this is just going to enable you to do that. For the most part, it's just better, I think, but I really think that the regular X-Antibody works pretty much just as well. It's just a little bit less efficient, so you can go ahead and run either or. This is just my preference. Then we have 1 copy of Yellow Scramble. This is going to help us get some Renamons back on the board. It can help you grab a plugin back if you use this to go into Renamon X and then use the Renamon X to grab your plugin, which is great. And it can reduce evo costs by 1 effectively if you have to evo into a 4 cost like Sakuyamon X. 1 copy of Pause Plugin P. Main, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6k DP, and it can't activate its 1 Digivolving effects until the end of your opponent's turn, which is just kind of devastating depending on what they're running. If they have a Blast Ace, then they don't get any Blast Ace Evo effects. And the security effect will give one of your opponent's Digimon minus 6k for the turn, and then this goes to hand. So really solid plugin. 2 copies of Wisdom Training because that's all we can fit in the deck. This is our best search package for yellow. And there's just, I mean, if I could run 4, I would run 4, but it doesn't fit, so we're not going to run 4. And then lastly, we have a Recharge Plugin Q. Security, give one of your Digimon, your opponent's Digimon security -1 for the turn, and then main, place this card as one of your non-white Digimon's bottom Digivolution card. All turns when this Digimon would be deleted in battle by placing a Recharge Plugin Q from its Digivolution cards as your bottom security card. It isn't deleted. I really like to use this on my Sakuyamon X-Antibody when attacking trigger. So when you swing in with the token and the combo we mentioned earlier, the option that I like to use for that is the Recharge Plugin Q. Put it under your Sakuyamon X, so now it has battle protection because we do lose our barrier effect when we evo into the regular Sakuyamon, and now we can swing in the other 2 checks pretty safely. Then we have 3 copies of the BT17 Rika. If your opponent has a Digimon, you gain a memory, and then you can warp on main into a Sakuyamon for a cost of 4 and return an option to your hand, which is just fantastic warp effect. And then lastly, we have 2 copies of the EX2 Rika. It's a memory setter, and then when you attack with a Renamon, Kyubimon, Taomon, or Sakuyamon, you can suspend this tamer to use an option card with plugin in its name without paying the memory cost. So free plugins, and that's going to be the deck profile. So it's really, really aggressive. It's tons of fun. You have lots of ways to recur options to keep getting in aggressive checks, cheap evos, and some battle protection effects. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are you doing with Sakuyamon X-Antibody before the BT19 support is here? Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Thank you to our patrons for supporting this video. It's people like Langlong and Coffee Deus who make videos like this possible.